Welcome to HuskerExtra.com. Brian Christopherson, joined by Steve Sipple.
Hello, Brian.
Here we are, another year older, and it's fall camp.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel older, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, boy.
Okay, maybe it's because I've been around you. You just make me older. But also, the preseason coaches poll came out today, and Nebraska finds himself number 18. I think that's about where you predicted they'd be, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, didn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, honestly, you had to figure 17 to 22, right? So 18 makes perfect sense for Nebraska.
Last year, they began the season number 16 in the coaches poll. I believe finished 23rd. Is that correct? Now, 5 Big Ten teams were in the top 25. Ohio State was number 2. You had Michigan at 17, just ahead of Nebraska. And then you had Northwestern at 22 and Wisconsin at 23. Of course, it was very SEC heavy at the top. 5 teams in the top 10, 6 in the top 13.
Yep.
Any surprises there? Obviously, Bama was almost a unanimous number 1.
Yeah, no surprise there. There's a couple things that struck me. I wonder if Texas A&M, I would pose the question to you, would Texas A&M be a little higher than 6th if not for, you know what, the Johnny Manziel constant
Freak show.
Yeah. Would they be higher?
No, I expected they'd be about there, and I don't think it has anything to do with that. But that is going to be fascinating all year to watch that storyline. When you think about this year, we got some year in college football brewing, because the Johnny Manziel thing's going to be fascinating to watch. Clowney at South Carolina is a freak player that doesn't come around very often. Right. There's so many really good quarterbacks, and Martinez is one of them, along with Braxton Miller. I think it's setting up to be a pretty exciting year.
I think so too, and a lot of that excitement will be in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, Ohio State at number 2. Do I think Ohio State has number 2 level talent, whatever that is? No, I don't. But I think they got that kind of schedule.
Yeah, they have an easy schedule. They do have their share of question marks, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about a few question marks for Nebraska real quick heading into fall camp. Just some things that you're intrigued by when you look at this camp. What are a couple things that you're going to put the microscope on?
Well, I'm trying to say something that's not so obvious that everybody's thinking about. And, okay, I'm going to go to the defensive line, which everybody's thinking about. But what the guys I'm thinking about more are Aaron Curry, sophomore, Kevin Williams, sophomore. Can they elevate, and to a lesser extent, Vincent Valentine, can they elevate their game to an extent to where Malik Collins, for instance, doesn't have to be a factor. Maybe Collins is that good, or Kevin Maurice doesn't have to be a factor. Curry and Williams, you don't hear a lot of talk about them, but those guys, I mean, they have a great opportunity to solidify themselves as every down guys if they've raised their level.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about Thad Randall. That's a given. They need him healthy, and he needs to be a good stabilizer or a good player, period. But I'm interested in Aaron Curry and Kevin Williams.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Kevin Williams in particular is a guy who seems to get lost sometimes in the discussion, and he shouldn't, because he had himself a pretty good spring. Now he's coming off an injury. But I think he factors pretty big into their plans. It's just going to be different this year on that D-line. Last year, you had a guy in Baker Steinkuhler who could play 55, 60 snaps a game.
Yeah.
Rick Kaczynski, the defensive line coach, said in the spring, it's different this year. You're going to have guys who play 20 snaps, give you 25 snaps, so you're going to have to be deep, You're going to have to have more guys that can do it. One other guy I'd watch, David Santos. He's got to be a leader of that defense as a sophomore. Yeah, that's asking a whole lot. Do you think he's capable of it?
Well, I think so, but you said something very key, sophomore. I mean, first of all, does he know the defense well enough to be that guy? And second of all, is that his personality? He says it is. Now, you know what? We'll see. But in that regard, not only in that regard, but also as a player, he's pretty unproven right now. And then the one other guy I'd say to watch is Charles Jackson.
Yeah.
The safety situation's it gets a little lost behind the D-line front 7 discussion, but they are inexperienced at safety. Corey Cooper and Harvey Jackson are fourth-year juniors. They're veterans. They don't have a lot of experience at safety, and you wonder where Charles Jackson, or I guess when Charles Jackson will emerge. I think it's bound to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Bo said Harvey Jackson had the best spring played the best football of his career this spring. But then about Charles Jackson, you can tell the coaches think he has the highest ceiling of anyone.
Right.
So we talked about it's going to be an interesting college football season. It's going to be pretty interesting around here as Bo Pelini, a defensive guy, tries to build up a young defense. So much attention on that, and we're going to follow it all throughout August as we head into the season. Stay tuned to HuskerExtra.com for the latest.